welcome everyone back to Psycho Turtle Plays for our Round 4 coverage of the Autumn Challenge 5 tournament here at Big Red, California. Welcome you back onto the live stream. I am Jesus Coronel. This is Dennis Geisler. We have the third honorary commentator here for round number 4 here, Arnie Wolf, and he'll go off against Lucy Parker.
Yeah, and on Arnie's side, we have the Dondozo Tatsugiri, which I know is not always everyone's favorite to see. What is everyone's favorite to see? It's Crabominable Vikavolt on Lucy's side. Arnie's team is the Ursuluna Blood Moon, Talonflame, Tatsugiri, Dondozo, Sneasler, and male Indeedee. On Lucy's side, Indeedee, this one the female, Gallade, Armarouge, Crabominable, Vikavolt, and Snorlax. Extremely hard Trick Room team on that end. And this Indeedee male, we saw the switch up, and now I'm forgetting who was doing it earlier. We saw the switch up with the Imprison.
That was Hector.
That was Hector, yeah, with the Imprison instead of the Protect on the Indeedee male to be able to stop Trick Rooms on the other side. Not Arnie's. So
nor Anthony's.
Nor Anthony's that we saw as well. But in this matchup, especially when Trick Room is so important for Lucy's team, there is nothing on this team who is trying to move fast at all.
No, Lucy's whole team is centered around that Trick Room. I mean, it's the obvious core of Indeedee, Armarouge, and Gallade. You know, Armarouge, Hatterene are sort of like your pick your poison of like big expanding force sweeper, and then the rest is just like teched out options. And for Arnie, well, yes, you don't have Imprison like Hector. I don't think you really need it. It's like as long as you get Dondozo in a perfect position, or Ursuluna, you know, to knock out all those Trick Room sweepers before they go haywire. That's probably the solid game plan to go for. But speaking of Ursuluna, there it is right there, alongside the Sneasler for Arnie, and for Lucy, she led the Armarouge Indeedee, and a Psychic Seed inadvertently gets activated from Lucy's Indeedee.
That's funny, actually, getting the Psychic Seed just for free there. And I do think that this is a really nice spot for Arnie here. The Ursuluna, I mean, you know you're not taking a lot of damage this turn, and frankly, I think that's one of the nice things about the Armarouge, in my opinion, is that you get a lot of different options with it. Obviously, you want to bring Expanding Force, obviously you want to bring Trick Room, but you have a couple of different options in terms of fire moves you might want to use, a couple of other little tech options in terms of your like coverage. And you also have the opportunity to go for Wide Guard. This one doesn't have Wide Guard, so Hyper Voice is super easy to just click here and just do a bunch of damage.
Well, Sneasler gonna switch out immediately for that Dondozo. So Sneasler definitely wasn't gonna appreciate any of the psychic attacks that Lucy probably would have provided off her. Yes, there are a lot of psychic attacks. And yet, this is just what I was talking about. The best way you probably have to deal with Trick Room if you're Arnie is to get rid of the big attackers early on with Hyper Voice or Blood Moon. Blood Moon is possibly going to be redirected. Yeah, there you go. Follow me onto the Indeedee. Make sure Armarouge gets the Trick Room out safely. Or if Arnie went for... Yeah, there you go. Go for the Hyper Voice.
I like the Hyper Voice here.
If that's Hyper Voice, does it knock out the Armarouge? I don't think it knocks out either Pokemon. Yeah, it doesn't even knock out either.
It doesn't pick up the knockouts, but that's a lot of damage. And remember that Ursuluna, I mean, this is, I think, a fast Ursuluna, so I don't know that it's going to underspeed anything here. But
that also depends on how the Armarouge is trained for Lucy.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do think that you're in a pretty fine spot if you're... And that's the thing, is that if Wide Guard was here for the Armarouge, there'd be a lot more different mix-ups. Lucy would have a lot of different options, but without the Wide Guard, you know that you're just going to get run over by the Hyper Voice, and now it just kind of comes down to Protects. Yeah, I don't hate that. So I think you want to try to just layer damage at point.
But that doesn't protect as well. It also probably reveals priority brackets, because I think that means Armarouge is probably slower than the Dondozo. Everything protects. Its Indeedee does not have Protect, so it's going to launch Psychic into Dondozo.
Yeah, this is a pretty fast Dondozo looking at
that means the Armarouge is slower than Dondozo and Ursuluna and Trick Room.
Yeah, it sure is, and the Dondozo is slower than Ursuluna individually.
Okay. So this move isn't necessarily to... commit to the commander goes, this is what's going to happen. It's like, you're only caring for the buffs. Like, the speed buff's going to hurt, yes, but I think you'd rather have the defensive buffs overall.
Well, and you're already faster in the Armarouge, so it doesn't really matter if you're a little bit faster. At some point, you just, like, both of those Pokemon cannot both be out there and get everything done that they need to, and frankly, Earthquake knocks out both these.
That only a very obvious helping hand here. Lucy also going to do it on the camera.
Yeah.
Helping hand, expanding force with Flyboard and a psychic terrain at +2 special defense. on this Dondozo. How much damage does it do? 75%!
It's a lot more damage than I thought it was going to do.
And there's a double knockout from real quick.
But yeah, it doesn't really matter because the Dondozo is still going to get a lot of work done. And it has the leftovers, so it'll be able to heal up just a little bit. It's got the Protect, so it can stall out some turns while healing up with leftovers. Now it's a question of what Lucy has in the back here, and that's one of the other issues, is that Lucy, and I mean this is for this specific matchup, but there's no real setup here. On Lucy's side, you have the specs on the Vikavolt, you have the Assault Vest on the Crabominable, so there's not really anything you can do. Yeah, there's the Vikavolt.
And the last Pokemon, Crabominable,
yeah, so it is those two. And that's the thing, is neither of those Pokemon has Protect, and neither of those Pokemon has any setup moves. And so you're just hitting your moves. So
I believe there's only 2 turns left at Trick Room.
Yeah. For Arnie, it's the easiest move in the world to just click Protect here, and maybe even go for a double Protect. Like, why not? Because at the end of the day, you know that nothing bad is going to happen for going for it. You also get to know what Vikavolt gets locked into for the rest of this game.
It's Thunderbolt.
It is Thunderbolt. Which
is safe to do because this Ursaluna is no longer carrying that ground type.
Yeah, you've seen all 4, so it's safe, but even still, now it at least is now shown, and Arnie can, I guess, slowly drain the PP out.
Now, does Arnie go for the double protect here? Because that is a possibility. Because if you do get the double protect, you just outright win the game. If you don't,
I think you do go for the double protect here. I don't see the downside of going for the double protect here. I guess I don't really. It's not a bad decision to not go for the double protect. Weird choice there.
Nah, I think I know specifically why the Crabominable is going for the Ice Punch on the Tatsugiri slot, even though it's not there. Well, we all know that that Crabominable is not going to knock out the Dondozo anytime soon, which is like the first part of the equation. The second part, even though it has knockoff, it wasn't going to ultimately matter if it was going to KO by Thunderbolt. Trick Room's over, Psychic Terrain's over, and Arnie's got the speed advantage once again.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be... It's going to be difficult for Lucy to play around this now because, again, you don't have Protect, you have no mix-ups here. You just have to hit as hard as you can and hope that your Pokemon can take the damage.
Muddy Water lands on both Pokemon.
You also have to crucially not miss. Okay, well, it didn't get the accuracy drop.
No, and there's a Blood Moon. It's going to finish out the Vikavolt. Let's see what this Crabominable does here for Lucy, because this Crabominable needs to do a lot of work for her.
Yeah, it has to knock out 3 Pokemon basically from full HP, which is...
That's not a tough thing to ask for. Close combat will knock out the Ursaluna.
Yeah, well, I'm impressed that it actually did that much damage. Ursaluna, I mean, it is super effective.
And a
stab. It is stab. Ursaluna is pretty physically bulky, though, and it was basically full HP. But Crabominable does have a really nice attack stat. Like, this team isn't horribly useless. It's just it does lack a lot of things where you're like, okay, I would have liked to add this this additional feature to be able to get a little bit more done with some of these Pokemon. But I think this battle's over.
Yeah, I think so too, because well, close combat should easily deal with the Crabominable.
Though.
Oh wait, Lucy still has a Terra.
Still has a Terra.
And this is the Kofu special. It's Terra Water, just like Kofu.
That is actually, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I still think close combat might knock it out. We'll get close.
Yeah, this is just like Kofu shiny Crabominable here.
Mm-hmm.
Muddy Water does land on the Assault Vest Crabominable. Does decent amount of damage. No accuracy drop. Does close combat take the knockout? It will.
Yep.
Game 1 to Arnie.
Yeah, just nicely played out by Arnie there. I like how Arnie did just go for the Dondozo for kind of just...
defensive reasons.
Yeah, well, not just defensive reasons, but a very narrow purpose. Like, just, I want to take this Expanding Force and knock out these 2 Pokemon. And Dondozo did nothing after that, and it didn't need to do anything after that. That is all the big, scary Dondozo needed to do. And that's the thing, is with how much, like, Dondozo warps things around itself, like warps entire games around itself, it's also kind of important to note when Dondozo is just there for a very specific task, and it's like, okay, it's not going to beat Vikavolt. It doesn't need to. It could just get knocked out and then leave everything else to do that. On the other end of things, I also liked that Arnie ran the Sneasler. It didn't end up doing a whole lot with it, but I like bringing in the Sneasler without your own Indeedee, just because you know that Lucy has to bring the Indeedee on her side, because it's one of the best ways to set Trick Room.
I also want to go back to the whole Trick Room part of this game, because, well, I've been saying this to a lot of people, yourself included, Dennis, that if Trick Room goes away and you don't knock out a majority of your opponent's Pokemon, you're probably just losing that game.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what just happened.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And, I mean, it's not even just knocking out a majority of the opposing Pokemon, but just, like, getting the stuff out of the way that can do serious damage to you. And we even kind of saw towards the end there, like, the Tatsugiri wasn't doing, like, a ton of damage, but, I mean, the problem is that if you have the ability to get through the couple of turns, and I think that's my biggest issue with Armarouge, is that the special attack stat isn't ridiculously high. Like, you don't really have, like, an insane peak of damage with that. And when you're running the Indeedee alongside it, that thing just doesn't do any damage.
Well, we got the same lead again. So
Yeah.
Indeedee Armarouge for Lucy, it's going to be Ursaluna, excuse me. Why did I think Ursaring out of my mouth? Okay, never mind. And the male Indeedee comes out as well.
Yeah, and we will certainly get the Psychic Terrain, that's for sure. And I guess the male one gets it set up because it's faster. And yeah, remember this one doesn't have the Imprison, so can't exactly.
I think that just ends the game. Actually,
it's very
we know that we saw from game one. We saw the base damage from Terra Normal, Life Orb, Ursaluna, Hyper Voice. If we had a helping hand there, I think that means that's enough damage to knock out the Trick Room setters.
It's gonna be pretty close, honestly, and that would be pretty bad for Lucy. Although Lucy did in the previous game see that Arnie went for something that didn't matter to follow me. So yeah, I think it's actually smart for Lucy to try to not just go for the follow me this time.
Ursaluna goes first here with that Hyper Voice. Does it get the double knockout? I think this should be the case. It does not knock out Indeedee! And unfortunately, Indeedee clicked helping hand and not Trick Room.
Yeah, I don't know that was the correct decision for Lucy. It was the funniest decision though, and that's what's important.
And now Lucy, I think, just immediately loses the game because no Trick Room came out. Although I'm surprised the Armarouge went for the attack this time.
Sleepy though. Have you considered Abominable the Sleepy getting work done?
No, it's gonna get Blood Mooned.
It's gonna get Expanding Force. It's gonna take a lot of damage.
I'm actually a little bit surprised the Armarouge went for an attack instead of Trick Room.
I don't hate the decision to go for an attack there. I mean, I don't know. Again, it just speaks to how good Wide Guard is in some situations for Armarouge. And I mean,
sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. And the Protect is obviously very useful in a lot of cases as well, but
there's to follow me here. It's probably not going to do anything in front of Expanding Force.
I think the spread moves are still going to happen here.
And Carbonimal still takes about half, even though it's Terrestrialized away from the weakness, and even with the Assault Vest that's holding. So here comes the Blood Moon. It's going to knock out the Carbonimal. Lucy is going to be losing a very quick set, 2-0, once we find out this last Pokemon, which I believe is going to be difficult.
Probably going to be the same 4 once again. I mean, I don't think it's an incorrect 4. I would say it's probably a correct 4, although, again, Gallade does have the Wide Card. Could have gone for that as the lead instead, at least scared off the Hyper Voice a little bit, try to play around it a little bit. I don't know. I certainly see routes into this set. If the strict win condition is get Trick Room up, don't take a gazillion damage for number 1.
Another helping hand comes out from this male Indeedee into this Ursaluna Blood Moon. It will launch the Hyper Voice, single target, Terra Normal, Life Orb, helping hand boosted. Get the calculators up. That's a KO. Arnie wins 2-0 over Lucy Parker.
Yeah, that was a quick set. I think as soon as that turn 1 didn't work for Lucy in game number 2, things were just over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the nature of hard Trick Room. You get the Trick Room up, and you have to try to knock out everything within that Trick Room. Otherwise, your game's over immediately.
That'll keep Arnie chugging in the tournament. He's up to 2-2 now. Lucy down to 1-3. So Arnie's still with a chance to make top cut if he's able to win his round number 5 matchup. Yeah. And then bubble in, which is always the bigger issue.
Yeah, but will he get that far? Because we have one more round left after this break, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go away. We'll be right back.